Hey everyone, my name is Gamer Corey and welcome back to another Minecraft tutorial video. Now in today's video we are going to be making a variation build of either Ilmango or Nembom's Mob Farm, and it's one that I've actually been using on a few of my different worlds, whether it be single player or even on SMP, as they work in both instances. Obviously if you're on SMP, the droppings might be a little bit different depending on how many people are currently on and things like that. But this thing is truly amazing, and you can see how many mobs are just flushing down at the bottom there. And honestly, this thing is very, 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 very simple to make. And I'm going to show you guys exactly step by step how to actually create this, as it actually really doesn't take that long. Even in survival, it should only take you maybe a little over an hour to get completely put together. The hardest part of this entire build is the killing mechanism at the very bottom there, and that is actually magma blocks that we're actually using. So one of the few droppings that you're actually not going to get from this specific farm, just because it is a little bit closer to the ground, is going to be anything from the witches. So you're not going to get sticks, you're not necessarily going to get glowstone or redstone or things like that, or any other droppings that come from the witches, because after they start to burn, but then they basically become immune on those magma blocks. But all the other mobs will completely die off from this. So if you guys want to have a separate witch farm, there is always that. Now the main mechanism is underneath the entire farm, and that's where I like to put it. You don't necessarily have to put it right there, but a lot of other farms go from the top down, and then where the magma blocks are open, there's a hole, and then they fall, enough blocks that they need to in order to kill themselves. So that's what we're going to go ahead and work on today. I'm actually going to go ahead and pull up some schematics so that you guys can go ahead and see basically what this thing actually takes as far as materials, and that is everything that you guys are going to need in order to build this. Now obviously there's a couple additional things that I do want to add to this list, just in case you guys are wanting to know. You will need 9 additional blocks of redstone as temporary blocks. You'll need 9 just temporary blocks in general, whether it be like smooth stone or whatever. And you're also going to need 9 regular pistons to put the magma blocks in place. The other thing that you'll actually need is at least 1 additional rail, but I would recommend at least 9, because that's where our killing chamber is at. And then you might need some additional hoppers depending on where your hopper line is going to be going into, say like a storage system or just individual chests or whatever you're going to sort out these different mob droppings that you do get from this mob farm. So hopefully that give you guys enough time to see exactly what you guys are going to need. You don't necessarily need to make it 12 stories tall. You can actually make it 6 and make it a little bit shorter if you want. You can make it 9, you can make it 8, you can make it whatever you really want to. So these will depend on however many you go high, and obviously the slabs as well. I used a lot of water's a bucket, buckets of water's a buckets, and that's mostly for the very, very bottom at the base there, and then each level has a water bucket inside of each of the dispensers. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Now, a majority of the build that we will be using for our materials are actually right there at the bottom. Obviously, we're using smooth stone and smooth stone slabs in order to create the structure of it. And then we'll have to get some magma blocks and stuff later, but we'll do that. And then basically the redstone components are mostly for just either the water chambers going up or the hopper clock that we're going to be building. So let's go ahead and start by building it up. You can build this up however you want. So if you want the bottom layer to be, say, like here, and then you can have the rest be like storage, then definitely go ahead and do that. So this would be the very base of the build. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We'll replace that middle block there. And then you have to determine how high you want the other thing to be. Now, if you only want it to go up 2 or 3, that is perfectly fine. You don't need it to be that high off of the ground in order for the next platform. So this bottom platform will be where the water is at. I can't zoom in because I'm actually not in Optifine. And then this platform will actually be where the hopper clock is at. So this one's actually pretty tiny. So we're just going to go out 4 blocks or 5 blocks. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 there. And then we're going to do that on all 4 sides. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then the middle block is the 1. So 2, 3, 4, 5. Then 3, 4, and 5. And then we're just going to fill in everything at a diagonal space just like this. All right, now once you actually get this all completed, what we're going to do is actually make our hopper clock. So we're going to grab our hopper. We're going to face one down. If you've never done a hopper clock before, place one down, place the hopper into one each other, and then replace that one that's sticking down, and then face them into each other. You can see that they're touching their tails, I guess you would want to call them, to each other. Then you're going to put a comparator on each side. Then you're going to put a block on each side with a piece of redstone dust. And then you're going to do a sticky piston and a sticky piston, and then a redstone block in the middle. And that's all you have to do for your hopper clock. That's really it. Now, I do recommend that if you guys are building this in survival, that you're going to probably want to put down some torches in this area just to make sure that nothing is spawning. And then from here, what you're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and place an observer right there. So whenever that redstone block moves, it will actually detect that, and it's going to start sending the signal up. So that way we don't really have to do anything. So it's facing downward, and then we're going to have a dispenser facing upwards. And this is where our first layer is going to be. So I'm going to build the first 2 layers, and then I'm going to build the rest of the layers in speed mode or fast mode, so that way you guys can see me building the rest. But all you have to do is go ahead and place one on each of the sides there, and you're going to come out basically 7. So that would actually be the 8th one. So we had 2, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, because that's how far water will push out. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then we just have to basically fill all of this in at a diagonal. Just like that on that side. And then we're going to do the same on this one. And then the same on this side here. And then we're going to do the same thing on this side here. And then we got, that's it for that one. Now the middle piece, you're going to put a temporary block here on top of that dispenser with an observer facing down, and then with a dispenser facing upwards. And then you're going to delete that temporary block. You will hear that clicking because obviously the observer is observing that you broke it and had something basically to observe there. And don't put anything, we're not going to put anything inside of the dispensers until we are ready. And then this next layer, you're going to go ahead and do the exact same thing. And then you're going to go out that 7. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. 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 And we're going to do this as many rows as you want to go. I don't necessarily recommend that you go more than 12 tall. You can. You might notice that the top layers will have some water issues because of how it goes upwards. Going down from the top, it seems to do a little bit better than going upwards. So once you kind of get over that 12, it kind of loses its efficiency. So we're just going to go ahead and fill this in diagonally, just like this. And we're going to do that on all 4 of the quarters here. And I personally like to use slabs just because it's a little bit nicer and looks nicer from a distance. It doesn't look so blocky, I guess, even though Minecraft is technically a block game. But you know what I'm trying to say. It just looks a little bit nicer. Now, what's really nice is if you really want to make this a creeper farm, you definitely could, or you could have certain levels be just creepers. All you'd have to actually do is put trapdoors on the top. It doesn't matter what trapdoor you put up there. And then you're going to want to make sure that spiders can't spawn. So you put like a carpet like here, you know, a carpet like there, you know, and then you would just kind of fill it in so that there'd be no 3x3 areas so that spiders couldn't fill in. So if you wanted, you know, 3 layers strictly for creepers, you could do that. Or if you wanted half of it to be creepers, and then maybe you don't want to need as many of the bones and string and things like that. It's completely up to you how you want to do that. But this is a little bit more customizable if you guys want to be able to, you know, have only creepers in this entire farm. Now that we have our 12 platforms all in place, now we need to actually go ahead and create the bottom. Now, I definitely recommend that you guys create the bottom of this first before putting on the roof, because if you put the roof on, then you're going to start getting mobs to spawn, and we don't necessarily want that to happen as of right now. So what we're going to go is come down to the very bottom, and we're going to go out 10. So this one won't count. So we got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then this one, you're going to come up 2, just like that. Then we're going to do the same thing over here. So we got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then up by 2. And then we're going to go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and then up by 2. And you could use full blocks down here if you really want to. However, the centerpieces, I definitely recommend that you guys use slabs, and you're going to see why in just a little bit. It's going to make it a lot easier for you. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then what we're going to do is we just need to fill in all of these diagonally, kind of like what we have been doing in the past with all the other platforms, a very diagonal diamond-shaped pattern. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come back out, and then we're going to go up 2 just like that. And we're actually going to go up 2 right here on that side. And then this side will actually be, let's see, we got this. All right, now that you have that pattern all the way around, now what we have to do is create the rest of this. So this is actually going to go up on this side around here. So that middle one right here will actually be 3. But we're actually going to go ahead and extend it by this. So you actually make sure that you get a diamond pattern. So these 3, the corner pieces will actually have that shape, that T intersection. So now I'm just going to go ahead and do another row all the way around. And then at this point, you're going to actually want to go up 1 higher, because that will actually be the half slab, so that nothing actually spawns on these platforms. So that if you're actually AFKing, they don't actually spawn right here, because we don't want that either. So this section, you're going to actually want to go up 4. All right, so now we're actually finished with the bottom section here. Again, each corner should have that shape. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and grab our water bucket, and then just go ahead and place water in each of these sections. And then make sure that you guys are filling that top portion in the make it spawn proof. I mean, you could use carpet if you don't want to necessarily use slabs. It's kind of completely up to you. Just make sure that you don't do what I did just there and waterlog that stair or that slab. So we'll fix that in a little bit. All right, now that we actually got that all the way around, we actually have this middle piece, which is going to be our killing chamber, and that's where we're going to go ahead and put our magma at. So what you can do is go ahead and punch this out, and then punch down 1 more, and then I recommend putting the hopper there, and then just kind of funneling everything into that center hopper the best that you possibly can. And then we'll just kind of go into there. All right, now at this point, you're going to want to grab your temporary rails and then also your mine carts with hoppers. Did I just hear a wandering trader? I think I did somewhere. And what we're going to do is going to put that down and then put down your hopper, minecart hopper, and then delete that rail, and it's going to sit there just fine. And then you're going to do the same thing here. I like to do the corners first, and then the last one in the middle here. And then it's a little bit harder in creative mode just because you can cause some problems. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do this one in this corner first. And then we're going to do this one right here. And it might actually move on us a little bit, and that is actually perfectly a-okay. We're just going to go ahead and throw in another upper minecart, and then we'll do the same thing here. Just have to make sure that we delete that rail over there. This is why I like to work with the slabs underneath, and you're going to see why here in just a moment. And then we just got to do the last one right here. All right, so let's go ahead and go underneath. This is why you'll have to actually get into the underneath portion of it. And just like that, that's why I don't like doing it in survival or in creative, because it's a little bit trickier sometimes. There we go. All right, now they will move around just a little bit. kind of spread those out a little bit, and there we go. And then once you just kind of jump in there, they'll kind of separate themselves out and kind of go where they need to go. This one's not quite going to where it should be going into. There we go. That's probably close enough. And you can just keep jumping around in here, and they'll go eventually where they all need to kind of go into, but that should be perfectly a-okay. Now at this point in time, you're going to grab your temporary block and put there, and then you're going to grab your magma blocks here. And then you're just going to fill in this 9x9, or this not by 9 area, this 9 block area. And then you're going to grab your temporary block, and then you're going to basically be putting it in here like this. And then you're going to grab your pistons here. And then you want to look down as best you can. And sometimes you do have to destroy one of these blocks to do that. Make sure that it is facing down and replace that one. And then you can actually just do that on all 9 of the areas. Make sure that you delete that temporary one for the time being. And then what you need to do is just go ahead and put your redstone blocks all the way around. And if for whatever reason that middle one doesn't go right away, then you'll just have to extend it like that. Then you can remove all of your redstone blocks just like that. And now you got your killing chamber all in place. And that's pretty much that's the hardest part of the entire build, is actually getting that magma block area. But that's why I like using the half slabs, or the slabs down below, because it's easier to access them with the rails underneath, and then they can't go anywhere because they're being held in place by the top slabs. Now, the next thing that we actually have to do is go ahead and grab some more water buckets. So actually what I'm going to do is I'll just do this, and we're just going to grab some water buckets like that, and then we're going to want to go into each of the areas and then just throw in some water buckets. Now, once you have all of your water buckets in place, now we just actually have to go in and create the roof. So what I like to do is grab our smooth stone blocks and slabs again, and then you're going to put a temporary block up a couple, just 3 like that, and then you're going to basically create a bottom slab so that nothing can spawn on the top. So if this is the very middle, from this section you're going to want to go out 17. So we got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And that way you're going to get a nice dark area in each of these areas in each of the platforms. So just make sure that you guys do that on all the sides. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to finish up the rest here for you really quick, and then we'll get on to the very last portion of this build. So we have finished putting in our entire roof, and you can actually start to see that we already got quite a bit of mobs already spawning on this this mob farm. So let's go ahead and put down our blocks inside of our mechanism. Now this would probably be the trickiest portion of the entire build, and what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put 24 items inside of here. It doesn't matter what 24 items you go ahead and do, just as long as it's 24, it will start to activate and we'll start to get some water pushing out, and then there we go. And now look at that, it's just going to start raining mobs, which is absolutely fantastic. There's a couple different things we got to do. We got to put in our spawn proofing here on the sides that we never did earlier. Just like that. Get out of here, skeleton. You don't need to be here. Now, the one thing that I do want to let you guys know is don't ever get too close to the killing chamber, especially in survival mode, because what will happen is a skeleton will see you, and then they'll try to bow you, and they'll hit a creeper, and then the creeper will explode, and then it will completely destroy that magma, and then you're going to have to rebuild the magma and a portion of that killing chamber. And depending on how low this is to where this is at, so you might want to go up a few blocks higher, you might lose some of that as well, and that's going to cause some issues with your build because you're not going to be able to refix it in the time that you really are going to want to be able to fix it. But if we kind of get a little bit further away from that other one, we should start to see a whole bunch more starting to spawn in. And there you go. Obviously, you're going to want to make an AFK platform. And what I do is I go up 120 blocks. You can go up 128, but I go from whatever level the killing chamber is at above it. So is say roughly this is, Y64. Then I would actually go up to, 120 blocks away. So we would be looking at 184. So then you would just right in the center of the farm, go ahead and put an AFK platform right about in this general area. So that way, for the most part, it's only encompassing this farm. And I like to build it over an ocean or the highest point in a landmass, just because that will definitely help you guys out for not having to spawn proof everything, since mobs do spawn in 128 radius around the player. But anyway, that is everything for this mob farm. Hopefully you guys do enjoy it. I love using this one in my worlds. It is absolutely fantastic to use. And it produces a ton of drops actually very, very, very quickly. You could look at that. That's absolutely crazy what it can do. Now, obviously, in your AFK platform on a single player world, this is exactly what it's going to do. But on a multiplayer server with caves unlit and things like that, some other variables, you might not necessarily get as many spawns. But this thing is absolutely fantastic. But if you guys did enjoy the video in any way, then don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below. It would help me out a lot and is greatly appreciated. But until next time, YouTube, you guys keep doing what you're doing because you're already doing it. And you guys stay gaming.